Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hey, everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL, and this is the NFC North Roundup show. Who will be king? Now, I'm waiting on one of our guests to come in, and we're dealing with audio issues on another, and hopefully everything will be all right. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things. One, staff hires or releases or extensions. And two, we're going to be talking about some free agency speculation. Who needs to stay, who needs to remain and get extensions, and who needs to be let go? Which team may be targeting whom? It's all a good question. Just read a rumor that the Oakland Raiders are targeting Mr. Russell out of Pittsburgh. Well, if that's the case, where's Sam Darnold going to go? I want Sam Darnold to go to Oakland, but that's just me. We're also talking about how each team is moving into the offseason. Part of that is draft prep as well as free agency prep. They're going to do that. And then we'll probably hit upon the playoffs, the two games last week and the upcoming Super Bowl. But of course, first we got the flag football game for the Pro Bowl. Whoopee. All next on Who Will Be King? Let the battles begin. Hey, everybody, we're still waiting on one of our contributors, the Chicago Bears, but they're late at everything. So I wish to introduce from the viewer's center left, June from Bleachers to Speakers. June, have you got your audio fixed yet?
I hope so. You tell me.
Yes. All right.
Just nothing a quick reboot won't handle, you know what I mean?
All right. That's cool. You were involved in some training earlier today.
I don't even want to go. I don't want to talk about that. This is my escape from the real world. So, yeah.
It reminded us of one of our favorite movies, Stripes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely rock. Took place at Fort Knox, Kentucky. The drill pad was called the Triple Nickel. You know how I know? I went to basic, and that was my drill pad way back in 1982. That was before I went to the Air Force. Yeah.
Okay. I'm familiar with the fort.
It's all I remember is stepping off the airplane. It was the middle of July, coming from New Mexico. New Mexico, it's hot and warm. Stepping off the airplane in Louisville, and that humidity hitting, and it was like, and I couldn't breathe.
Yeah,
it was just,
that's how it is.
It was miserable. Foster, how are things in Detroit?
It's going well.
Cool. Now, when do pitchers and catchers report?
Oh, I believe we are under 2 weeks away, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sometime in February, towards the end of February.
Where do they report for you guys? Is it down in Florida or Arizona?
Lakeland, Florida.
Okay. For those that don't know, Foster does Corner to Copa, the Detroit Tigers podcast on Bleachers to Speakers.
Absolutely. We got we might have a live show tonight to talk about the new free agent acquisition that we made. So been a little bit since we had something to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And there, my buddy Northfius said, same feeling when he got off the plane in Turkey. Well, buddy,
Man.
I was used to it by then, but yeah, I know the feeling.
I mean, when you first step off the plane, it's like a first impression. When I remember landing in Saudi Arabia and getting off the plane, it's a smell in the air that you just will never forget.
That's true.
Let alone it being hot. So it was like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you got that right.
Yeah.
All right, we might as well start. Pay will show up shortly, I'm sure. He's probably stuck in traffic in Atlanta. They had some snow and shut everything down, so they should be done with that by now, but I'm sure he's stuck.
Or at the nail shop.
Or at the nail shop, yes. I saw a video where their new head coach, your former OC, was at the nail shop getting his nails painted with Caleb.
He knew where to
may
take
have been
that.
AI created, but it was a video.
Yeah, he knew where to take that energy if that's what he,
No comment.
And by the way, Northfius, who is one of my mods, is ex-Air Force himself, and he is a good man. So
Salute to him. Salute to him.
But we're waiting on Bay, so he doesn't miss anything. Now, plenty of stuff going on. Are you guys watching the Senior Bowl practice this week?
A little bit, not as much as I'd like to. Like I said, I've been training at work, so I don't get enough time to glance away at the stuff like I should. So I'm gonna see what I can find tonight after work, though. I mean, after we get off of here.
Okay, there's some awesome clips on X. If you follow the right people, you can see some cool stuff. Tyler, as in the real Forno, is down there for his 5th consecutive year. He's scouting as well. And later tonight, 7 o'clock instead of 6, the real Forno show, we're going to have a report direct from the Senior Bowl, and he's going to give us everything he's seen so far. Which is good.
we got to do some upgrading here at Bleachers and Speakers. Foster, you need to be down there scouting. See, Dave does it right. He has people down there scouting the Senior Bowl, and look at us. We're just here. Ain't paying attention to anything.
Hey, you also need a Red Wings contributor.
Oh, Dave, you just don't make it any worse than what it is.
We just do Vikings at the moment, so I can't speak. Unlike Pay, who does every bad Chicago team, which is just about all of them.
Every last one of them.
Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. I'm sure my folks could tell I'm stalling in the comments, but hey, I want to welcome Dan Northfius, Nick,
what's up,
Prez. Who else is here? Chris, Julian, all you guys are welcome. Dino, good to see you. All great joining us once again. So
salute to all y'all. Yeah, we appreciate you being here.
Mm-hmm. Now, we can start with Detroit news, I guess. I was going to go alphabetic, but is there anything happening in Detroit that's hit your headlines that has sparked your interest?
Well, I'll say a little bit, and Foster can, finish the rest because I'm not very good with names. But we do have a new offensive and defensive coordinator. Had some. Well, what the defensive coordinator Foster can tell you more about him, but he was he was elevated. He was our linebackers coach. Foster can tell you more about it though. I'm horrible with the name.
So it's Kelvin Shepherd, who was previously the Lions linebacker coach. He's a former player. He's played in the league for 8 years. He's a former national champion with LSU, and he was briefly coached by Dan Campbell when he was finishing up his career in Miami. But yeah, he's a guy that Dan Campbell strongly suggested he continue and pursue a coaching career. So he's somebody that Dan Campbell, fully believes in and respects. And I feel like he's going to be able to continue and embody the culture that Dan Campbell, projects on the organization. And I'm excited to see where he can take the team. He's obviously been working under the tutelage of Aaron Glenn, and I believe that Dan Campbell knew that when Aaron Glenn inevitably got promoted to a head coaching. I feel like he already had his eyes set on Kelvin Shepherd taking over. So we'll see, but he's a pretty intense guy, and I feel like he's all about accountability and putting the best players out there. If you remember the Hard Knocks episode where he was, talking about Malcolm Rodriguez when he first got into town, I mean, he was, basically saying that, I really don't want to start a rookie at linebacker, especially one that,
sixth round.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You had to ask him. He's like, what round did you go? He's not the first, not the second, not the third. What round did you go in? But yeah, Rodrigo was one of the standout guys from that Hard Knocks episode. But, moral of the story is, I want to put the best guy out there regardless of what position he plays, although I would prefer it not be our 6th round rookie linebacker. So yeah, that's the on the defensive side of the ball anyways.
Hey, we got a story. We had a UDFA start his first year. And Ivan Pace.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 2023.
Pace is good. No, Pace is really good.
He's a fireball. Absolute fireball. And he's small. He's built like a fire plug, and he has no fear. He will go through a guard's face like it's nothing. And that's amazing. And I've seen him do it. He just runs straight face to face and shoves him backwards. Yeah. And the guard's going to, possibly outweigh him by 100 pounds. It's just amazing. But it's all because you want to put the best players on the field, no matter where they're drafted. There's been way too many, hey, we took him in the first round. He's got to play. Well, he's stuck.
Yeah. You play the best players on. It doesn't matter where they come from. They're drafted. You put the best players on the field. And I think with Shepherd, he was trying to light a fire on the other linebackers because there's no way a rookie, 6th round rookie, should come in and do a better job at linebacker than the vets that are already there. And Correct. He wasn't afraid to say, hey, you guys need to step it up. Why are you letting this rookie outperform you? Mm-hmm. It's insane.
And it's 100% true. And it's also a testament to the rookie who's balling out, may develop as age. You get some guys go through college and they do, you're right, not so great, but they get into the pros and suddenly they explode. And you have otherwise some guys that peak out in college and never make it that last step in the pros. But we'll see. Interesting. Now I'm reading here one. Lions hired John Morton as offensive coordinator. Tell us about John Morton. Is he part of the salt magnet?
So he is not to be mistaken for the Lions legend Johnny Morton, who played receiver during the Barry Sanders, Herman Moore era semi. He's in the end of it. Yeah. Right. That's what I kind of But anyways, but he's a local guy. He's originally from Auburn Hills. Went to Avondale, which is not too far from where I'm at now. But he also went to Western Michigan, making him a very quality individual.
Gosh,
that's bias. That's bias. But so his roots are in the receiver, the wide receiver side of things. That's who he normally coaches, and that's his specialty. He most notably was a wide receiver coach at USC with Pete Carroll. But as far as the NFL, he's worked with the Broncos, most recently with the Broncos, and he was the passing game coordinator. Obviously, Bo Nix is coming off a very strong year, but his highest level of position was an offensive coordinator with the New York Jets, which didn't go very well. He didn't have a whole lot of players and support to work off of, but just another guy that Dan Campbell got a chance to work with, and he actually credits him to developing our old receiver coach into getting the new role that he's in. But when I first thought of, when we first think of Ben Johnson, we would have said, who is that? Not much to say about that. And in a way, that's kind of how I feel about John Morton. But once again, I'm going to trust the who Dan Campbell puts at that position, and he's sung high praises of him, and he's done some good developmental work. He last coached for the Lions, I believe, not this past season, but the season before, as a senior assistant on the offensive side of the ball. So we'll see. Not the sexiest pick as far as names are concerned. He doesn't have a very astute resume as far as the offensive coordinator side of things, but he'll certainly have a lot of, player, the personnel is going to be there. It's going to be a matter of him drawing up the right plays at the right time, because he does have talent.
Has he ever called plays?
Yes.
Yeah, he was the OC for the Jets. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the Jets, I'm hearing there's heavy talk by the Jets to hire Lions Tanner Engstrand. Who is Tanner Engstrand?
Yeah. I believe he's the old receiver coach, and he was under the tutelage of John Morton, who obviously works with receivers as well. So yeah, he kind of helped build and develop him so that he could get to that point.
I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Glenn got a couple of defenders as well. They've been talking about it the past couple of days. There's a couple of free agent defenders that he could very well, just take away from the Lions because they want to play for him. So it remains to be seen. These are obviously players like Derek Barnes is one of those names, and Carlton Davis, the newly acquired cornerback last year. So those are two I wouldn't be surprised if they were to go to the Jets. So
it's going to get messy. I feel like, I don't know. This is getting weird.
Very interesting offseason. And I tell you what, everybody got money to spend except Green Bay. We all got money to spend in the offseason.
Well, they've got some. I haven't looked where, but they've got some.
It's not like us three.
Oh, no. I don't doubt that in the slightest. But
I think they're
let's see,
single digits.
Bears have the most,
69 million.
Well, I'm seeing cap space I'm looking at OTC, and they're showing 64, which I think is low. Okay. Well over 64. Vikings coming at 57.9, which I think is way low, and Lions at 46.5, and then the Packers are about 12ish, 40 million.
I'm on Spot Track. It depends on where you go.
It depends. OTC and Spot Track differ on how they estimate the cap raise, and also likely to be, what's the term? The contract where incentives are put in and then unlikely to be paid, but some are likely. The unlikely ones that are hit will hit this year's cap. And for the Vikings, that's quite a few people. because
I
there
know
was
Washington was up there as far as a lot of money to spend.
yeah, they're third,
That's insane.
86. Raiders are second, 92, and the Patriots
Patriots
are
number
120.
one. Well, it sounds right for them. They got a lot of stuff to fix.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting how all that works out. And the Packers aren't one for going big on free agency anyways. No. They never have been.
They usually do pretty well developing through the draft.
Uh-huh. So
they're usually pretty good. They'll get a free agent here and there, but not really crazy in free agency.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm looking at a headline, Aaron Glenn planning to target several Lions free agents. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's also the same with Chicago. They will be doing the same because of obviously familiarity.
Yeah, we expect that.
Now that we've talked smack about Chicago enough, we want to welcome Pay from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans Network.
Boom.
Johnny Morton's a Lions legend?
I was being sarcastic as far as that's concerned, but he was cool.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's cool. Cool is cool. Cool is cool, I guess. Happy National Curmudgeon's Day, everybody.
I didn't know that.
Happy what?
Curmudgeon's Day.
Okay.
Yeah. Put on a curmudgeon face there, June. You got it going on so far.
I don't know what that is. I swear.
It's a sourpuss. Somebody who's not happy. Well, somebody who's generally upset at the jovial people around in their space.
Like Oscar the Grouch.
I can't relate.
There you go. Like Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, I can't relate to that.
Pay, we already got a question for you. Sarah asks, what if Ben Johnson kind of sucks?
What if the moon falls out of the atmosphere? I don't know. What do you want me to do with that?
There will be no change for Pay and his fandom there, Sarah.
Did Sandy say that? Did that come from Sandy?
No, it came from Sarah.
Sarah? Oh, wow.
If in the event that the head coach for the Chicago Bears, Benedict Arnold Johnson, it's just not good. We pay him his money. 5 years later, we get another coach. Rinse and repeat. What you're doing is
rinse and repeat.
He's got to be better than Eberflus, though.
No, he's going to be better than Eberflus. Eberflus had his failings, and one of the failings was hiring him in the first place. There was no reason that Ryan Poles hired him before Ryan Poles was actually hired to do his job. So that was the first problem right there, right? Eberflus, again, like I said, he has his failings. He's a great defensive coordinator. And I'm pretty sure you'll see that in the next few years down in Dallas, where he's going back to do more defensive work for the Cowboys. But as far as a leader, obviously you saw he cannot build a staff to save his life, right? For a head coach, that's probably your number one job. One, you got to build the staff unless you want to do all the work for yourself, and that's not what bosses do. Bosses delegate. Bosses don't do the work. So he wasn't fit for the job there. Ben Johnson has already hit the ground running in a better direction in that respect. He's hired a former head coach to run the defense. So he doesn't have to do any delegating on that side of the ball whatsoever. He already knows that part of the job is taken care of. And for the offensive side, he hired, I'm pretty sure who's going to get to this, but we can segue right into it. Hired, I forget his name, Declan Clay or something like that. I think that's his name, to be the offensive coordinator. Declan Doyle. Tight ends coach for the Denver Broncos, 28-year-old. Not even old enough to change my tires. So
You have an age limit for changing your tires?
yeah, I don't trust Gen Z to do manual labor. Can't do it. So it's questionable. That hire is questionable. It's like, who's this guy? Ben has never even worked with this guy. He's a tight ends coach. I mean, his background is tight ends coach as well. So you don't want to, not ignore him, but like look past him just because of that, right? But I look at it as this. Ben the offense is all him. He's going to be calling the plays. Why do you need a high-priced and fancy schmancy offensive coordinator to break down tape? You get the young guy in there. Somebody's going to grind. Somebody who probably don't have a family to go home to. Hey, get in here. Put in 18-hour days, grind this tape out, and let's get to work. So I like the hire from that respect. So that's two great hires already from a coordinator standpoint that I'm rocking with for Ben Johnson. Obviously, Antoine Randall, which I was a little confused about initially when I heard that, when he brought him over from the Lions staff to be our wide receivers coach as well. I thought you couldn't bring somebody from this staff to the new staff unless you was getting a promotion. But I guess since the coach is a promotion, I guess in name alone, maybe in paycheck as well. I'm not sure. But Antoine Randall, he comes highly decorated, highly respected in this league, obviously as a former wide receiver and, from that same staff, the Detroit Lions. And we also took another Lion, JT Barrett. Now, JT Barrett is going to be the quarterback's coach. I was surprised about this. Like, he's moving up the ranks fast for somebody who was just in college like yesterday.
It's been a while.
Not much of a professional career, but
well, that's true. Well, kudos to him to figuring it out fast.
He may be the next Kevin O'Connell.
He could be. I mean, he's a Buckeye, but you can't win them all.
He could be the next Eberflus.
It's true. Well, from a quarterback standpoint,
you didn't like that.
Eberflus, I'm sure, is getting paid well.
Yeah,
Mike Zimmer, I heard, did.
Mike Zimmer, he's the defensive coordinator where now?
Nowhere. He retired.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he was at Dallas.
Yeah.
And they stunk.
That's true. Coordinators, I mean, the high price coordinators make about what? $2 million, somewhere around there?
It was reported that Zimmer made over 3. He was just behind Fangio.
Well, I mean, when you're an ex-head coach, you can probably demand a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And I believe Brian Flores also gets paid in that range.
Makes sense.
He gets paid, quote, low-end head coach money, which would be that range. But speaking of high-end head coach money, it came out, it was reported here a couple days ago by Matthew Collar of Purple Insider, a beat writer, that it looks like Kevin O'Connell's extension will take him through 2029 and is worth $13 million a year, which matches Pay's head coach for Pay. It was in the $13 million.
You want that commitment for those years. You just, I like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as we've had some coaches go to interview all over the place, so far, none have been hired, which is interesting. I would have figured some of them would be. There's our defensive back coach, Durante Jones, has gone to interviews for defensive coordinators a few places. He's still not been hired. And Udinsky, our quarterbacks coach, has gone for OC positions and not been hired, which is interesting. We may have the whole staff back. Much to my chagrin, I'd like a new O-line coach, but hey, that's just me. Northfield is saying 16 million. Could be, buddy. Could be. They might come out that way. But any other coaching news? Hey, on your end?
Well, I ran down the whole staff. I talked for about 5 minutes, Dave. I don't think the only other coaching news we can talk about is maybe. I feel you. We got to cover all the bases, right? Only other coaching news in Chicago that may have be some type of concern, well, not of note rather, will probably be what do they got going on the south side of Chicago for the baseball squad, alleged baseball squad. I don't know if they play the sport that we think they play.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Pay.
I mean, just keeping it real, man. But the Bears, that staff is set. We are ready to get the offseason going, and I know you've heard this before. Win the offseason. This time we're gonna make sure it's correct.
Yeah, because it always proves when you win the offseason, you're going to win the season, right?
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Sarah asked what QB are the Bears going to be drafting in 2027?
Wow. Bryce Underwood.
Oh.
He's the no Michigan.
He knew it. He's being funny. You can't put anything past Pay.
I didn't, freshman. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, too early for me.
Now, Packers coaching moves. They're losing Anthony Campanelli to the Jaguars. Talk about a cluster down there.
Duval.
The whole Duval, or however they said it. I said it better. I just, and
cringe.
Rich Bisaccia returning despite special teams troubles. So I guess he's their special teams guy. But there's not much move there.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
That's on the Packers end. Not that we care a whole lot other than they get worse.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they will. Northfield says hang the off-season banner, Pay.
I'm looking for one on Amazon right now.
Now, what free agents what are you targeting to keep? Who are you targeting to keep? Pay, you want to keep Keenan Allen?
If you ask me, no. If I'm in control of the checkbook up there at Hallis Hall, absolutely not. I don't think I was never a fan of bringing him in the first place, right? I thought it was a luxury move in a team and for a team that didn't have any money, right? I thought it was a move in which you put 312s in your trunk when you need 4 new tires. I didn't like Keenan Allen coming to the Bears in the beginning. And now after you watched him play for the whole season, he missed a couple of games because of injury and being old, and dropped a bunch of touchdowns, dropped a bunch of third downs. He came on strong the last month of the season. We was already cooked. So I have a little issue with that as well, seeing a lot of former Chicago Cubs do the same thing and then won a big payday come the winter. So maybe I'm biased, because as I already said, I already had an opinion beforehand, but I don't necessarily think he's a necessity. I think this offseason needs to be all about necessity. We go into the draft, we get necessities. I don't care about best player on the board. Don't tell me about Austin Genty. Don't care. Necessities need to be the focal point of this team in the offseason. Another wide receiver, you can draft one that's younger. I'm telling you, there's a wide receiver that's going to be available in the third round, be better than Keenan Keenan Allen 3 years from now. I don't care if he's better than him now. He'd be better than him 3 years from now. Get him. He's cheaper. And he's younger. And he don't drop touchdowns.
I wish to quote one of my favorite beat writers, Courtney Cronin. The Bears were wise to acquire Allen and as a trusted option for Caleb Williams' rookie season. He had a team-high 7 touchdowns and ranked second in receiving yards of 744. Targets 121 and catches 70. That's a strong production for any receiver. But bringing the 32-year-old back would need to come at a discount. New Bears coach Ben Johnson might have plans to go younger and add more speed to the position, and this could mean that Allen would need to find a different team with which he could finish his career. Do you agree with Courtney?
She kind of undercut her whole point when she said he needs to come back at a discount, right? So I agree with this. Yeah, I agree with the second part. If he was to come back, he has to come back at an extreme discount. And also, she highlighted something else. You would assume that Ben Johnson needs a vertical threat with his offense. The Bears don't necessarily have a real vertical threat. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, they don't profile that way. Some guys that we've been talking about on the show that in a draft that we could probably target in the second, third round maybe is Isaiah. What's his name? Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond out of
Texas.
Yeah. Again, that's more Q's. My co-host, that's more his alley. But if we're going to get better in the wide receiver room, it would probably be a vertical threat. Somebody who can stretch the field. That ain't Keenan Allen's forte. It never has been. I would prefer to see him play in a different jersey next year.
Well, I think Sarah says the Bears will probably draft Genty before they draft an O-lineman, which could be the case, but you the O-lineman.
It would not shock me. And that would definitely tell me one thing about this I guess third iteration of the Ryan Poles era for the Bears. It would tell me that Ben Johnson doesn't have the power at Hallis Hall that we all assumed he did based on his paycheck. It would tell me that Ryan Poles is still calling the shots and that we need to go up there and get him up out of office.
Okay.
January 6th style if necessary.
Mm-hmm. Now, switching to Detroit, what free agents must you keep of your available free agents?
Well, we talked about it a little bit as far as guys like Carlton Davis, who was well on his way to a pretty good season before he suffered that broken jaw. We got guys like Kevin Zeitler, who's a little bit up in age, but is coming off a previous year of a Pro Bowl type season, and he was one of the better guards, especially in the run blocking category as well. So those are guys that I feel like I'm not upset if they go out there and re-sign them, but they may or may not look in a different direction. And another guy, Levi Onwuzurike, who had a lot of injuries in his past, but he was one of the few guys that was pretty constant and there for us throughout the entire year. So I wouldn't be mad at us, bringing him back in at the right price. But it appears that we're going to be in a competition with not only the rest of the league, but our former coaches for some of these guys and their services. You also got like Tim Patrick, who kind of seamlessly took over the receiver, the number 3 receiver role in place of Josh Reynolds. And then Ify Melifonwu, who's a guy that another guy that's suffered a lot of injuries, but showed us some promise and some playmaking ability as well. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I can tell you that Vikings fans have looked at Kevin Zeitler as a possible short-term fix on our issues.
Not a bad move for them. I hope you guys don't get him wherever he ends up.
Now, I didn't hear Marcus Davenport on that list.
You're not going to, Dave. He can go. I will drive him wherever. If he plays out in Denver, I will drive him to make sure he gets there on time.
Well, he's played for 2 out of the 4 teams in the division. We need to shuffle him off to Detroit or Green Bay.
Not to us, Chicago.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Chicago.
He barely saw Detroit. Was he even was he even around? Probably stayed wherever he was at.
Mm-hmm.
No, he can go.
Now, Northfield, we're talking about Trey Smith. There's discussion that the Vikings may go for Trey Smith, obviously the number 1 guard, offensive guard free agent who's going to be hot and desired by a whole lot of teams. We'll see if we go for that or if we go a little bit lower on price and try to fill multiple positions instead of just the one. I don't know. I'm wavering on that. But the Vikings' problem is the interior O-line, and they've got to fix it in free agency. Period. Absolutely, period. They got to be able to run block and pass block. Or J.J. McCarthy's going to be dead.
I saw some Bears talk with Trey Smith, actually, when I was looking out there.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it as well. But Green Bay Packers, they're worried about center Josh Myers. Per Rob Domofsky, the Packers haven't always paid interior offensive linemen. Last year, they let guard John Runyon leave in free agency. They drafted a potential backup center last year in Jacob Monk, 5th round, and could even move right tackle Zach Tom there. It is hard to read the Packers GM, Brian Gutekunst, who is one answer talked about how much quarterback Jordan Love trusts Myers very much as a center, but also offered a hint of finality when he said he was really glad we've had him for the last 4 years. Would the Bears be interested in the Packers, Josh Myers?
We're gonna kick the tires on it. I can expect that. I don't think that there's anybody that's available right now that's actually been serviceable to any team, no matter the situation they're coming from, that the Bears should turn their nose up at them. I mean, the Bears have a lot of needs, especially in the trenches. They can also do a little bit better. They're also going to have to, fix the team in Ben Johnson's desires, and for that same way, Dennis Allen. I think we're going to have to buff up our secondary. As I already said, the trenches got to get fixed, and I said earlier that we can probably expect them to add some more speed to that wide receivers room. I would also expect them to probably want to get away from DeAndre Swift, because we already seen what Ben Johnson thinks of DeAndre Swift, right? So I can expect a lot of changes this offseason, Dave. So to answer the question in a throaty, no diddy way, no stone will be unturned.
Okay. Sarah says you should sign Garrett Bradbury. We'd have to release him first, but you should sign him. Now for the Vikings, probably the number 1 mandatory signing is Brian Murphy, our corner, basically our nickel, but he also plays outside. And he's due rather a large raise. Now, it's being reported that the Vikings are also working on an extension for Cam Bynum, starting safety, next to Harrison Hitman Smith. Well, Harrison Smith may retire. And Cam Bynum, the Vikings don't want to be caught in a position where they lose both their starting safeties in one season. So from what I am reading, what's being reported from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is that the Vikings are looking to extend both Bynum and Murphy, and we'll see how that works out. not quite sure how much money they're going to pay him. Now, I do know that Cam Bynum needs it because they announced a couple weeks ago, his wife did, that they are pregnant with quadruplets, which is crazy. But, hey, it is what it is. Now, that's the free agency front. Have you guys started your draft prep yet?
No.
Prep has started, but we haven't released anything yet.
Okay.
No did
Oh no. We have not started doing any draft work. Jesus. It's already mock time already.
Oh, it's been mock time. I'm seeing them roll across, and I get private messages. Dave, would you do this? Dave, would you do that? Dave, would you?
Yeah, we've had those talks.
And it's like, guys, I'm just now starting. I'm working on some of the graphics, and I'm not even close. I'll take the top probably 100 or 200 prospects and make graphics of them for our draft show, which is at draft time. But in the meantime, we'll have about 100 that get rolled into our mock draft Mondays when we eventually start those. But like I said, we have Tyler down in Mobile this week for his 5th consecutive year. He is scouting. He loves it. And he will be reporting tonight on the Real Forno show at 7 o'clock for my viewers. It's going to be at 7, which may be the permanent off-season time for his show. We'll find out. But at 7 o'clock, Tyler's going to be reporting from Mobile on what he has seen and what he likes for the Vikings. And yes, the young kid from NDSU is one of those. You don't need to watch pay because you don't need him. He's a guard. He's a good guard. You can skip him.
You've rung my ears now, Dave. I'm tuning in.
But anyways, well, I guess that's it for today's show. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. You guys have been absolutely great in the remarks. We love it. And there he is, Biggs Railing Dad. Let's see how it goes. They're still talking about Davenport. It's funny. Hey, where can they find you?
So at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel, as Dave mentioned earlier, is where you can get all your Chicago sports bloviated takes. And most of those teams are pretty bad right now, but we have our hope. As you see on the screen right there, Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans on YouTube, also available audio only wherever you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pandora, and anywhere else that aggregates podcasts. Check us out.
Mm-hmm. June, where can they find you guys?
You can find me and Foster on Bleachers or Speakers on YouTube. Subscribe. We are trying to get those subscribers up, that number. We've been working diligently on trying to improve that. You can also catch us at the podcast aggregators for your audio fix, Bleachers or Speakers, FFSN. Make sure you follow us. Make sure that notification bell is on, so when we drop content, you'll get an alert. Download the episodes for us.
And I strongly suggest it. The guys have some great content on both those channels that is absolutely fun to watch, and they cover most of the sports in their cities, which is pretty unique, and I think it's a great deal. We need to branch out on the Viking side, but hey, it is what it is. Now, where can they find Vikings First and SKOL? Well, you're here, so you've already found it. Vikings First and SKOL on YouTube, as well as your favorite podcast aggregator over at Fans First Sports Network, our writing, and also on Facebook. You can find us all in all those places. We just had a show with Sal last night, and my best buddy, Ted Glover from Vikings Report. We had a good time chatting it up and having a good time. But they are in the description. If you look at the description, the links are in there. So you will find them. Still no Fudge Packer creator. Yep, Norsefius, there still is none. Now, there have been a couple I've seen in our Slack that have joined that do all Wisconsin sports, including the Packers, but we have yet to send out a welcome or anything. So, and they've yet to contact us. So we'll see. They may get offended by that badge I put on their logo of the trash can. So
they might be offended by that, but I will be there to tell them it's not slander if it's true.
That's right.
Whoa. Wow.
And we all agree FTP. So
we'll be searching for a while.
Yeah. Any last words, gentlemen?
How many days until week 1?
It's good. September.
It's a while. It's a while.
What do you say, Pay?
Bear down.
What do you say, June? And as always, SKOL Vikings. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a frustrated Chicago sports fans, Bleachers to Speakers, Vikings First and SKOL, and of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.